Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Seven Sky Spelios of Seven Sky Music, and today we have another very special music review. Today we're reviewing Scorpiknox. Every Part of the Animal is, I believe, the name of their album. I got a link to their Bandcamp page. As always, links like this will be in the description. First thing I have to comment on is, of course, the wonderful artwork of the album. Haven't heard any music yet, but this already intrigues me, and I'm sure if that was, I'm guessing it's their CD cover art, so you're going up to a table to buy some of their CDs, I'm going to look at this and be like, I want that. So that's already really cool. So let's see, we got 9 tracks on here, from The Professor all the way to Pirates, and I'm thinking I am intrigued by the title Under the Skin. So that's their second track on this album, so I think that's the one I'm going to listen to. Alright, let's begin. Damn, that is some nice precision. I'm really liking that. That's that must be really fun to dance to on the dance floor. And yeah, it's just really tight. And I like how clean everything is too. Not just tight as far as rhythm goes, but clean as far as the mix goes and the sound goes. This is masterful, dare I say. This is really enjoyable to listen to. I love how the guitars are kind of cushioning both sides of the of my headphones, kind of making like this, as I said, cushion for the singer to come through. And the singer has a really interesting voice. It's really cool. The mix is just so good. To me, at least, I'm really enjoying this. Let's continue. I'm excited. Nice background harmonies. Those are really cool. I also like how it doesn't sound like they're right in the center of the mix. It sounds like they're kind of off to the side a little bit, or I guess off to this side for you guys. That's really cool. I was just talking to a friend recently who enjoys panning things all over the place, and that's that can be some musician's pet peeve, is that everything's in the center all the time, and it's just kind of dull and bland and boring. But this is not the case with Scorpiknox. They definitely know, or at least their engineers definitely know how to pan things to make it really interesting and have everything really clean. I'm still really impressed by that. And I find a lot of the time in this genre of like heavy rock, or maybe, would you classify this as metal? Maybe. I often find in this genre that the bass and the drums are super busy, maybe a little too busy while the singer is singing. But in this case, I feel like it's part of it's the way everything's mixed, but also the drums especially are just doing a really great job of filling up the space without, overflowing the space. And that's really cool. That was a cool chorus. I like some of those chord changes, Sounded like maybe it was just a 5-chord going to the sixth. That rise was really cool. I feel like I'm saying cool a lot. I should mix it up a little bit. That rise was expertly executed and masterfully thought of, something like that. Anyway, I always say that I have difficulty hearing the lyrics, and in this case, I still kind of do. Even though everything's really clean and nicely presented for me as a listener, I am, still deaf. No, it doesn't seem like they have lyrics available. That's okay. Let's continue.
You're not supposed to know what they do under the skin. You're not supposed to know what they do under the skin.
I apologize for not having too many comments on this piece. This song is really fun, and I think I'm just enjoying it in general. I'm not finding myself having to stop and critique every little thing that comes up. It's a really enjoyable piece of music to listen to, and I'm wondering how, it's mixed, as I've said 1,000 times already. It's mixed so well here that I'm very curious as to how the mix is live, because those guitar parts, are very, very rhythmic and active, and those fills are really fun, and every once in a while I can hear the bass, but that's kind of every once in a while. I'm wondering, when it's done live, how busy the band sounds. Can you hear the lyrics more or less? Can you hear the guitar part more or less? How busy are the drums? In a way, I'm kind of worried. This sounds so good in the album that I'm like, oh no, how does it sound in performance? You kind of set a really high standard for yourself. Not in actuality. It's just kind of what comes to mind. This is in no way a critique of any kind. I'm just thinking to myself, wow, it sounds this good here. How could it ever sound as good in any other setting? But yeah, if you're in the Seattle area, you should definitely check out Scorpiknox whenever they play. It sounds like they're a 4-piece. Sounds like they got bass, guitar, drums. Of course, now that we're halfway through the piece, I feel kind of obligated to provide some kind of my opinionated critique or advice or something like that. And I guess that would be kind of along the same lines as what I was talking about a minute ago. The mix is so clean that sometimes it kind of feels too empty. You know what I mean? I don't know if anyone else gets this. And really, it's not even an issue for me. It's just kind of something I was thinking of in the beginning, and I haven't mentioned it up until this point because it hasn't really been that important. But if I were to pick something up until this point that I would want to comment on, it'd probably be that. When the singer's not singing and the guitar and drums and bass are just kind of in the background, sometimes it can be almost too dry. But yeah, like I said, even though I just said that, I don't really fully believe it, because most of the time the singers are occupying the space, and it sounds so great. But I guess that's the point, is sometimes it sounds too clean, too dry. But what do I know? I don't know anything. And also part of it's probably these headphones. These headphones are very evenly EQ'd, mixed. Is that how you'd say that? So I'm not getting any bass boosting or anything like that. They're just like very even, and that probably has something to do with this. I know a lot of speakers, a lot of people's home theaters, the bass will be boosted and all these things will be adjusted to make a more full sound experience, and that could be part of what's going on. But yeah, let's continue so I have something actually real to critique.
You're
I'm kind of wondering if that second guitar was an actual second guitar. I'm wondering if that was the singer, maybe switching to guitar, because I'm guessing there's the singer has a guitar, and then there's a rhythm guitar behind him, which that also may be the background singer, or the background singer could be the bassist, maybe the drummer, not sure. But I think that's the end of the solo section. I could be wrong, but if it is the end of the solo section, I didn't feel like we got enough out of it. And that, guitar was kind of low in the mix, I think, and kind of faint and distant. And if that's what you want, then that's cool. But to me, I felt like it could have gone on a bit longer, especially with that abrupt stop. I thought that was, a quarter or half of the way at most through the solo. I didn't think that we were moving on to something, but we might be moving on to a really cool drop, and the solo might continue. So I'll see if that happens. This is really cool in a few ways. Remember how I mentioned earlier the guitar is kind of cushioning both ears? I was earlier wondering if it was one guitar that was recorded twice and panned to separate sides, which I think is what's the case. Regardless, this is kind of a development on that, because instead of just having these static guitars in the background, just filling up some space, now they're the lead line, they're the focus, and that's really cool. And it's also cool that now they've taken on some harmonies together. So now instead of just sitting here, now they're playing with each other basically, and kind of having a conversation with the band. And it's always really cool. And it's always, music is always about, well, people get a lot of things out of music, but I think one of the main focuses of music is the fact that music is about communication and socializing. It's a very cultural thing. So when you have instruments in a band that are reacting and acting and playing with each other, that is really entertaining to see and to hear as an audience member and as a band member. It's really fun to play pieces that you're doing like call and responses, that you're doing solis, multiple people taking a soloistic line at the same time. So when I hear these guitars harmonizing with each other and the band responding, it's really fun. And if all of Scorpiknox's If this whole album is just like this, these fun instrumental parts, these call and responses, these really clean, sexy mixes, they got a really good thing going. I'm not sure if that point came across well. If their whole album is like this one song, that's awesome, because that's all you can ask for, really. Even more than you can ask for in some cases. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I never know. I always go into these music reviews totally blind, so I didn't even know exactly what genre I was getting myself into, and I'm really pleased to hear and see that this is a group that knows what they're doing musically, has very clear musical ideas, and must be just such a joy to see and to hear in live performance. But yeah. I always enjoy these little moments of chromaticism. In a way, I kind of wish there were more. I wish during that breakdown there was more chromaticism. Maybe a total breakdown of tonality. Like you've been dealing a little bit probably with flat nines and natural sevens and stuff like that. Maybe in the piece there's a place for more of that, for even more of a breakdown. Maybe just these wild, crazy chromatic runs. Maybe maybe the solo takes on this really weird approach where it's just like crazy whole tone, diminished scale licks, and it just really goes out there in the bass, and everything else is supporting these really weird chords that maybe writhe around and march around. Am I making any sense? I guess in conclusion, I feel like that entire section, although it was really fun to listen to, I feel like we could have gone even further down the rabbit hole. I don't feel like all the ideas were fully explored to the extent, and this is one of those moments where I'm like, oh dang, I really wish I had seen this band in person, because in person they might be the kind of group to take on 5-minute long solos and really crazy, wild, out there sections and added material, and I hope that they do that. At least I hope when they perform live, they really treat their audiences to this treat of just crazy weirdness. Regardless, we only have about a minute left on the song, so we'll see if I have another comment before then. There was a moment in that solo about 15 seconds ago that really sounded like we were about to take a turn down the road of insanity, and I was really excited for that. It didn't happen, and I don't think it's going to happen. And I hope people know what the heck I'm talking about when I'm talking about these insane things. I kind of explained it before. More chromaticism, crazier textures. Even if you can't play the guitar 1,000 miles an hour, shredding is always a great way to fill up the texture and really have this really enter this new territory of expression. I still am really curious as to if the lead singer also has a guitar and they're kind of trading back and forth lead lines, or if it's just in the studio, one guitarist recorded a few times. Really curious about that, because I'm always curious as to how a song is going to pan out in the live performance setting. Not just in the studio, not just where everything's in a controlled environment, but how do you transfer that to the stage? Also, as usual, these band names fill me with curiosity. Scorpiknox, where did that come from? What is that? I'm sure the band will let me know in the comments below, or a direct message. But yeah, let's finish the song. That was a really interesting ending. That started to go in the direction that I've been talking about, with more chromaticism and even more out there things. Let's actually rewind a little bit. Oh. So yeah, to me, and I left my face cam up so you could see what my kind of general reaction to that was. For me, when that surprising chord hits, it's like, oh, where are we going? Because it feels like we're gonna have this this really epic climax. So yeah, we have that chord, and it's like, whoa, and then we have the next chord, and it kind of resolves the tension. It doesn't really take me to that place. It doesn't really take me to the end. You know what I mean? One more time, I wanna show you my reaction as a listener and as a person that admires harmonic intrigue. Here we go.
You're not supposed to know. You're not supposed to know. You're not supposed to know.
Yeah, so that chord hits, and it's like, whoa. And the next two chords hit, and it's just like, okay. One, we've already heard this before, which is good. Which is good in a way, because it's familiar. But in another way, you're trying to build up tension to get to this place, and you are ascending, so that is definitely the right idea. And a lot of the time in music, I've found it's an all or nothing kind of thing. You either predictably, stepwise, build up to the end and not have any crazy chords in there, or you make it really crazy and really take off and build up to that explosion, that finale. Most of the time you can't really have both worlds. You can't really have this super amazing chord that just goes to a regular major chord. Also, in a way, it feels like there's another section coming. It feels like, because of that chord, mainly, it feels like we're going to go into another solo section, or we're going to go into a chorus that's modulated to like the 5 or the 4 or something like that. It doesn't really matter where it goes to. It just feels like it's wrapping up, and then it suddenly grabs you by the throat and takes you to a new place, but instead of taking us to a new place, it just ends. So, yeah, there's kind of, the way I see it, there's kind of two approaches. One is that you really take us there. You really take us to the abstract. You take us, whatever that chord is that sounds amazing, it's maybe some kind of diminished. You do that, and then you make it fully diminished, maybe add in a 6th degree or something. You spread it out across the band, and you throw on the overdrive, and then you invert it, make it ascend and ascend and ascend, and then boom, that kind of thing. Really bring up the tension and resolve it on the final chord. Or you just don't push the atonality button. I mean, I wouldn't even call it atonality necessarily, but don't even delve into that really weird realm. Because also, if I remember correctly, we haven't had a change like this before in the piece. You may have had that chord before somewhere, but it wasn't expressed like that. That stands out so much. And since it hasn't happened yet, that's kind of what gives the listener the impression that something else is going to be coming. At least for me. As usual, I have to put in a disclaimer. I don't have to put in a disclaimer, but I want to put in a disclaimer that everything that I say is my own opinion. I do not necessarily have any professional... I don't necessarily have any experience in any of these particular genres. All of these are my own thoughts and opinions, and at the end of the day, it's whatever the group wants to do, and it's whatever the composer's intentions are. And if the composer feels as though those intentions have been fulfilled, then it was a great piece no matter what anyone said. Then it is a great piece no matter what anyone says. whichever way you want to take it. Anyway, that was Under the Skin by Scorpiknox, part of their Every Part of the Animal album. The Bandcamp link will be in this. The Bandcamp link will be in the description below, as usual. And I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoy what I do, consider supporting on Patreon. I might make a separate Patreon just for music reviews, because this is kind of becoming a sizable portion of my life. But yeah, I hope you're all having a fantastic afternoon, and I will see you in the next music review. Have a good night, everybody.